Hi, I'm Yvon Prehn with Bible 805 and also with the Effective Church Communications Ministry. And this video I'm doing for both groups because it's on Lent, and I feel that this is something that can greatly encourage and strengthen us no matter what ministry we're involved in. Now, before I get started, you may be noticing around me how the shelves in my little office are bare. That is because I'm in the process of redoing it, so you never know what you're going to see the next few weeks, months. I hope it's shorter than that, but I wanted to get that out of the way. Let's now go back to our topic on Clean Monday, a challenge to recommit to Lent and a focus on becoming like Jesus. Clean Monday. That's an intriguing label, isn't it? I thought so when it came across my internet feeds today, actually. I like the idea of starting out the week clean and right before God and people. It's a useful thought anytime, but I was ignorant of the fact that that's actually the term that is used to begin the Great Lent, which is the Lenten term for the Eastern Orthodox Church practice of Lent. Now, for us that are in the Western Church, we're a little more than halfway through our Lent, and the dating and its coordination with the Eastern Church shifts depending on the various years that we're both observing it. But for us now, it's in the middle for us, at the start for them. But I read a blog by a Father Stravos, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name this morning, and you'll have the link to it on the website on both Bible 805 and the Effective Church Communication site. But I want to share it with you because he said some really challenging things that I think all of us will benefit from. I'm going to read his devotion with some additional comments from me following them. The purpose of the Great Lent, for which, again, in the Western Church we just refer to it as Lent, is to prepare the faithful to not only commemorate, but to enter into the passion and resurrection of Jesus. The Great Lent is intended to be a workshop where the character of the believer is spiritually uplifted and strengthened, where their life is rededicated to the principles and ideals of the gospel, where fasting and prayer culminate in a deep devotion of life, where apathy and disinterest turn into vigorous activities of faith and good works. I want to comment on this briefly right now, that the idea of a workshop I think is extremely helpful, not in that we work for our salvation or we work to gain favor with God, but a workshop provides a tangible way to train our very wayward selves to become more like Jesus. Now to go on with what he says, Lent is not for the sake of Lent itself. Fasting is not for the sake of fasting. Rather, these are the means by which and for which the individual believer prepares himself to reach for, accept, and attain the calling of their Savior. These rules are not as a Pharisaic law, burdens grievous to be borne, but as an ideal to strive for, not an end in themselves, but a means to purify the heart, to enlighten the mind, to liberate the soul and body from sin. And he goes on and again repeats the idea that Lent is to be a workshop, and that it once again prepares us to reach for, accept, and attain the calling of our Savior. Now, my comments to go on. It's easy to make Lent all about us, that we're giving up various things, chocolate or media or whatever it is, but we need to remember that saying no to a tangible item or the action or whatever it is, that isn't the point of it all. The point of Lent is that in saying no to ourselves, it's a reminder that God is God. And the purpose of our lives is to please Him, not just to please ourselves. It's also a time when, along with giving up different things, we want to spend more time in prayer and in intentional obedience, where we allow God to surprise us with the joy and peace that comes from following Him. listen with me to the progression of these verses, which I think are very challenging to us. First of all, in 1 John 2:6, it says, "Whoever says he abides in him, in Jesus, ought to walk in the same way in which he walked." Galatians goes on to say, "I've been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." And then 2 Corinthians tells us, "And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit." And then it's all wrapped up actually in the Psalms, because what was true for them is true for us, where it says, "Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy, and at thy right hand are pleasures forevermore." Continue your journey through Lent this Clean Monday. As you look forward to Easter, start again if you need to. Recommit to more fully growing in your obedience and love for God this Lenten season.